Hi, everyone. My name is Bethia. I'm here today with Charlie, who is the CEO of LeftBrain, and we're talking today about compliance bottlenecks. What we found with some of our clients is that when they kind of hit 100 people in their teams, suddenly the scrutiny increases. And sales actually start to slow down. So we're going to talk to Charlie today about what can be done about this. Before we start, Charlie, would you like to kind of introduce yourself and your background?
I'm Charlie, CEO of LeftBrain. We're a national cybersecurity center assured cybersecurity consultancy, and I am a chartered cybersecurity professional, specifically in the risk management discipline. So, um, over the last year or so, I've recently stepped into the CEO role, and I've had the amazing opportunity to lead this fantastic team.
Great. So we're here today to talk about this. Why do enterprise buyers suddenly increase scrutiny when a supplier passes 100 employees, would you say?
Yeah, so I think around 100, it seems to be some sort of magical number, where below that, they're usually asking more simple questions, such as what's your technical approach to kind of staying secure? When you get to around 100, the questions are rapidly changing. And those questions are more about not kind of what tech do you have, but about what's your organization's approach to managing cybersecurity risk on an ongoing basis, and what processes do you have to make sure you're aligning with what your organization needs to do. So the type of the type of questions just changes, and those requirements tend to land on the shoulders of whoever's running the technology. So sometimes it's a head of IT, sometimes it's a CTO, and essentially what these questions are, though, they're not simple technical things. They are organizational change, and they're things that need to happen from the top of the organization all the way down. So the solution isn't really a technical solution. The solution is an organizational approach solution.
Okay, thank you. And what risks do procurement teams assume about companies at this size? And how do these assumptions influence sales cycles?
Yeah, so this is one of the key areas. Is an organization during procurement will see an organizational size, and they'll make assumptions about where they should be on their security journeys. If you take a larger organization, that's going to be a larger sort of breadth of risk, and it's going to be a larger potential for kind of threats to come in, or potential for sort of chaos to unfold if there isn't a sort of an actual structured approach to it. So they look at larger organization, they see a bigger risk surface, and they also see an organization that should have really got their kind of ducks in a row already, and should be building in good governance processes into decision making, in particular around risk management.
Okay, and what compliance expectations typically emerge at this stage? Are there any kind of benchmark things that people could be doing?
Yeah. So around this stage, people start to hear the word ISO 27001. Here in the UK is by far the most popular kind of full breadth of security management framework standard that we have. And if people aren't asking for it, they're asking questions that effectively point towards it without actually saying the actual title. So it's kind of like you could run all these questions through an AI bot and say, what does this mean? And it would say, you should implement ISO 27001. So that's the key standard we work with. The good thing about ISO 27001 is that if you have other standards you need to meet in the future, you can easily map it against the ISO standard, and you can easily translate it. So the important thing is not what standard you put in initially, it's that you have a organizational approach to security. And the best way of doing that is by implementing the standard in the first place. So it's kind of like the standard is there, not as a tick box. The standard is there to bring maturity in security through the organization. Once you've done that once, you can then map that across other sort of requirements you might have in the future. So it's a really good idea when people start hearing these questions, they start hearing ISO, get it done, and that's going to serve you in the future. It's going to speed up those deals, remove the bottlenecks in procurement, and ultimately the tech leaders and leaders in the organization can get on with what they should be doing, or what they prefer to be doing, which is to pushing the business forward.
Okay. And how can companies prepare in advance so this bottleneck becomes avoidable rather than disruptive?
Yeah. My favorite bit of advice I'd give organizations is to get the fundamentals in place from the beginning. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you have a basic decision making structure, and you have some sort of enterprise level risk management discussions already happening, it's going to be much easier to scale that into something that's fit for ISO 27001 later. The important thing is get your foot in the door, start building the right systems and processes, and then you can take them further when needed.
Okay, great. So I guess kind of the key takeaway for people is that this bottleneck is predictable and it's avoidable, and it's not a failure. We can put things in place to help early on.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a fantastic overview, looking after such a wide range of clients. The bottleneck is predictable because we see it time and time again. It's a lot of the reason why people come to us is because they need to clear this bottleneck and they're starting to have these questions. Yeah, it's predictable. It's likely going to happen, even more so in the future with a cybersecurity and resilience bill passing through Parliament at the moment. We're likely to see more and more regulation and more supply chain pressure working its way down. So it really pays to get ahead of that. And again, it doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be expensive. You can build something that's appropriate for you now, and then you can scale that and you can, push further into that in the future. But the important thing is you've got those foundations.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Charlie. Take care.
Thank you.